as you know, it's spring of the year. We got customers that are itching to get some awesome sound into their vehicles. And what better way to upgrade than through a subwoofer enclosure? Now, there's so many options when it comes to subwoofer enclosures that are currently available. But today we're talking about Memphis Car Audio because these guys, let me tell you, they have an outstanding selection when it comes to loaded enclosures in every category, every fitment. And let me tell you, 6 different ranges that we're going to cover today. Let's get on their president, Mr. Nick Lamonaco. Now, Nick, I'm sure you can agree with me. Enclosures are hyper important for any dealer, but man, Memphis takes enclosures seriously.
Yeah, Ben, we definitely don't skip a beat with enclosures. Enclosures are super important because we want to get customers in and out from when they're coming to buy base, and so we try to do our best to provide the full gamut of enclosures for our customers to sell to those anyone from a base head down to I just want to add a little bit of base to my stock system. So we definitely try to cover you from top to bottom, left to right, everywhere in between with high quality Memphis product.
Nick, one of the things that I find very interesting is back in the day, an enclosure was basically, a big old box, whether it was ported or band pass, for example. Yes, I'm aging myself a little bit. And size didn't matter and fitment didn't really matter. But these days, it seems like, the space that customers are willing to sacrifice to get base could range very dynamically. So let's go through the line. I think the way we're going to do this is kind of get from, the high end stuff down to maybe a little bit more price conscious product. So let's start at the top. Let's talk about the VIV enclosures.
Yeah, our VIV enclosure is basically the best of the best. For those that don't know what our VIV sub is, that's our 14-inch, 7.5-inch voice coil sub. I'm not fluffing you when I say it plays flat from 20 to 500. So this is an SQ level woofer, but it's 14 inches and 2200 watts RMS. So it's also very capable of SPL as well. So this is a single 14 ported box that sounds incredible, that absolutely bangs. And then, of course, we had to make it look nice and sexy. It's got a very nice brushed vinyl front. Really sets off the woofer in the box. And yeah, if you want incredibly clean and stupid loud bass, it's the perfect box for you.
All right. So if sound quality and crazy big bass is what you want, VIV is your go-to. Now, our next one is kind of subdivided into 2 different categories because the Mojo sub from Memphis is, of course, a fan favorite. Everybody we talk to, everywhere you go, Mojo and Memphis are kind of synonymous with one another. So let's divide that. We're first going to talk about the big Mojo subs, the bigger drivers. So let's get into the big Mojo enclosures.
Yeah, with our big Mojos, they're 12 and 15. These are 1500-watt big boy subs. They're not light. They're very heavy. They've got a giant motor on them. They've got a big aluminum bass to support that motor. So over the years, as you mentioned, Mojo is synonymous with Memphis. It's been our big woofer in many iterations before now. But a lot of people, maybe they don't have the custom box building ability, and they were trying to throw these giant woofers into like everyday prefab boxes. And that was, number one, not good for the woofer, and number two, not good for the enclosure. And it would eventually just break the enclosure. So we got a big demand for being able to take our customers to be able to drop these giant badass loud subwoofers into cars. And that's what we brought out, our 12 and dual 15. So we got a single 12, which is dumb loud, just ported. It's got a beautiful black piano black finish on the front of both boxes, which matches the next category we'll talk about. But just designed exactly to the TS parameters of the woofers. So that single 12, that box is designed perfectly for the parameters, and the dual 15 also is designed perfectly for the parameters of the woofer. So that's a 1500-watt 12 or a 3000-watt dual 15 box. This is for SUVs or somebody with decent suspension. I've had one of these in my car, and the car drives different. They're so heavy, but you're definitely going to shake everyone around you.
So, Nick, when it comes to these Mojo series subwoofers, I have to preface this by saying do not let the size of the cone, deter you, because what we're going to talk about next is what I think to be the most popular form factor when it comes to the Mojo subs in the entire Memphis lineup. And that is, of course, the Mini Mojo. So what is the selection when it comes to having enclosures with Mini Mojos loaded?
Yeah, Ben, you definitely nailed it. The Mojo Minis is by far our most popular size of the Mojo, and maybe overall in our woofer line. They've been crazy since we launched them a few years ago. In some cases, we've not been able to keep up with the demand, but the most well-known boxes that we have in the Mojo Minis is our dual 8-inch truck boxes. So these are vehicle specific for Ford, Chevy, and then old Dodge and new Dodge. And if you've not had the chance to hear one of these boxes, you're going to be blown away. You'd be blown away in general, but then you're blown away even more when you realize it's two 8-inch subs in there. So it's 1800 RMS ported boxes that just absolutely slam in the truck. Definitely our most popular SKUs. All of the models are in our top 20 most popular SKUs in our line. And then keeping with the awesome bass in a small space, we have single and dual 8-inch, more traditional shaped enclosures with the piano black finish to match the big Mojo boxes. And then the most popular of our non-truck boxes in the Mojo Mini is our dual 6.5-inch down-firing wedge box. So this is a box that's capable of fitting behind a single cab truck, under bigger trucks. Also, it looks awesome behind the back seat of a 4-door Jeep. Kind of just disappears back there for perfect fit. I mean, this box comes with brackets. If you don't bolt this down, the box will be bouncing everywhere. It's crazy to think that two 6.5-inch subs is loud, but it really is. It's 1400 RMS and slams, and that's why we sell a ton of this very versatile box. And the Mojo Minis in general, they're just small, you get in the big bass and much less space now.
Now, Nick, another series which has gained a lot of popularity and mostly due to, size constraints, is the new MB series. Lots of different models in this series that will help customers get the bass they want, but still be able to go to Costco and fill up their trunk. So let's hear about the MB series of enclosures.
Yeah, the MB series, it's a great woofer of ours. It's got the selectable voice coil flex technology, 500 RMS 10 or 12, 350 RMS 8. And we have some traditional boxes in the single and dual 12 that are regular shaped, and if you want that big bass in your trunk. But yeah, as you mentioned, I call it the dad bass. So we have a single and dual 8-inch box down firing. Comes with rubber feet. So even though the enclosure comes with the grill, you can put the rubber feet on the front of the box and have it down fire it. So it sits and kind of disappears in the back of the trunk, and you don't have to worry about throwing stuff on top of it all around it. You're just hitting the box, not the speakers. And it puts out a lot of bass. We also have an amplified single 8 and an amplified single 10. And that single 10, again, that's the dad bass one, because in addition to having the down firing to put it in the trunk, and it's a shape to kind of hide in the back of the trunk, it's got a quick disconnect for the power and ground, like the removable power lug. So you can easily pull out the RCAs or high level, however you're running in for signal. And then you can go to Costco. You can go your big grocery runs or whatever you need. And that 10-inch has a built-in legit 500 RMS amp. So again, that's why I call it the dad bass box, because the guys that, like me, 4-year-olds that used to really have a big system back in the day, now can get bass again without sacrificing the trunk space for the kids.
All right, Nick, let's keep the flow going because we still have two different series of enclosures to go over. The next one is pretty iconic because, well, first of all, the looks, everybody has seen these. These have been around. They've got an incredible amount of pedigree, and rightfully so. If you have a customer that's coming in that doesn't necessarily want entry level, wants that one level up to get that extra kick, but not break the bank at the same time, I think it's hard to argue that the PR series of subwoofer enclosures is probably the most popular option. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Definitely not wrong there, Ben. PR in our subs, amplifiers, and speakers is our most popular line. Part of that has to do with the fact that they've been in our line the longest, but they have the iconic M logo, black on black on the cone, and they're just very recognizable. When you see a PR woofer, there's no mistaking that it's a Memphis woofer, and then you nailed it. This is for somebody that used to be a bass head or somebody that is just getting into adding bass in their trunk. But these are everyday price points that can still, make your rearview mirror rattle. So we got everything from dual 10, single 12, dual 12. And again, all of our enclosures are designed to the exact parameters of the woofers. So if you were to call and build a custom box, call our tech support line, they would give you the same exact dimensions to maximize the output of the woofers that we have. And in the PR line, in addition to the traditional shaped boxes, we do also have some shallow options. We have a single and dual 10 under seat shallow option for under truck seats, or again, in trunks, similar to the MB that we talked about. And then we have an amplified wedge box. So if you want to get a single 12 behind a truck seat or in the third row of an SUV or something, but you don't want to take up a lot of space and you don't want to add that extra amplifier, we got the built-in amplifier there. So some versatile enclosures, but again, it's going to be good bass and definitely not going to break the bank.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, of course, we have to think about the budget minded customer or maybe the newcomer to car audio, maybe a young customer that's coming into your shop that might have a little bit of a tighter budget. Don't worry, like I said in the top of the show, Memphis has got you covered from top to bottom. We're talking about the SR line, very popular line for what I just explained, but definitely some great options when it comes to enclosures as well.
Yeah, Ben, the SR line, that's been Memphis's entry to bass. So this has been an extremely popular line for a lot of the young kids who, this probably is their first system, but a lot of guys aren't mad and they keep that system for a long time. So we're known for our single 12 and dual 12 bass packages. So the SRXE 112 VP and 212 VP. These are probably on their fourth generation in our line, and we keep improving them every time. So you get 250 watts amplifier, 250 watt amplifier with the single 12 and a 500 watt amplifier with the dual 12. And when I say 250 and 500 watts, those aren't inflated numbers. Those are RMS real power, the same amplifier that we sell a la carte if you were to buy an SR amplifier. So we get these bass packages and you put them in a car and you're going to be blown away for the price point, like what you're getting out of them. So even though it's our entry level price point, it's definitely not entry level for performance.
In closing, Nick, I want to kind of paraphrase what you just said there when you made reference to the amplifier performance. Well, another unique thing I want to point out about these Memphis enclosures, in fact, all the ones that we discussed on today's interview, is the fact that the drivers that are included in these enclosures are, in fact, the same spec drivers that you would buy a la carte. And that's something interesting to note because we all know that there are some options on the market whereby they make this special sub just for an enclosure. No, these are the actual drivers that you can get a la carte from the catalog.
Yeah, Ben, just like I mentioned, when you call in to build the box, we're going to give you a spec that's going to match that box. The reason that is because it is the same driver. It is the same parameters. We don't want to make a special woofer for a box to fake how it's sounding. We don't want you to build the box to our spec and then go, hey, how come this sounds different than the prefab box that I purchased from you guys? No, it's the same exact woofer. So if for some reason you put a drill through the surround and you got to swap it out, you could put the gift box woofer right in there, plug it up, and it'll sound exactly the same. We want consistency. We're not cheating you out of anything just because you bought it as an enclosure and not just the raw driver for itself. So very, very proud of that and very excited about all of our enclosures. And as you've heard from top to bottom, we have enclosures to fit virtually every need and every budget. So if you're not a Memphis dealer or if you're hearing something today where you got to try with his enclosures, definitely go to memphiscardio.com and check them out.